We've published 271 talking head human-made YouTube videos for our online education business called Simple Germany. And those videos helped generate $1.4 million in profit.
But to get there, we had to change how we used YouTube for our business multiple times. In fact, we pivoted our business model and our intent for YouTube 3 separate times. And at some point, we stopped chasing the YouTube play button altogether. Because views and subscribers and shiny milestones can feel good, but they don't automatically build a business.
So in this video, we'll share the 5 biggest lessons we learned from using YouTube to generate consistent leads and sales and not just get attention. These lessons are a snapshot of all 13 lessons we've documented in our YouTube for Business playbook, which you can grab in the description below.
So let's dive right in with lesson number 1, which in hindsight sounds super obvious, but it actually took us a few years to figure out.
Well, it's like Steve Jobs says, right? When you connect the dot backwards, that's when it makes sense.
I can only connect the dots backwards.
Yeah.
Anyways, so lesson number 1, always talk to one person.
Now, when you heard that, you might think that we only speak to one person behind the camera, but that's not what we mean. Let us give us some context. Our first online business, Simple Germany, there we helped people move and settle to Germany. And I hope by me saying that, you already find the problem. We were helping people move and settle to Germany. So we were creating content for those who wanted to move, and we were creating content for those who wanted to settle. And to be honest, we even created content for those who wanted to leave Germany or buy a house or do pretty much anything in Germany. Our filter was, is this topic have to do anything with life in Germany as an immigrant? Check, let's make a video. This became very problematic very soon.
Because by following this approach, we didn't realize that we were building a very fragmented audience with very different pain points at the stage that they were in. So when it came for us to actually develop one core offer, we didn't know what to focus on because by that moment we had developed multiple micro products to solve individual pain points, but they weren't continuously leading to each other because, again, the people were in too many different stages.
And you might think, Jen and Yvonne, why did you create all this kind of content? The reason is because we fell into the trap of views and subscribers, and both types of content performed really well on YouTube. Yeah, and that's how we landed on that conundrum. And our micro offers, they performed very well. I mean, we still sold them successfully. It's just like you mentioned, it wasn't just one core offer. And to be honest, I think we developed something like 15 different offers at some point. It becomes very hard to market all 15 offers because they're all 15 different pain points at different stages. And don't let me get started in trying to optimize the sales pages, the checkouts, the funnels. It wasn't very fun.
And everything changed the day we finally decided and chose to exclusively focus and help people move to Germany.
AKA talk to one person with one problem and provide one offer.
Everything became so clear, focused, and simple afterwards. And once we had solved that conundrum, it actually allowed us to finally implement lesson number 2 in a very streamlined structure.
And lesson number 2 is to actually track and measure the numbers that matter for a business. And here I have to be honest with you. When we started our YouTube channel, my intention, because I'm an avid YouTube consumer, I would say, was to get that silver play button, to reach the 100,000 subscribers, because that was like this milestone that I thought would bring the success, I don't know, to our business somehow, I believe that. But actually, after going through lesson number 1 and starting to track the numbers that matter for our business, I realized that that's not the right milestone to be chasing. I mean, it would be nice to get the place button, but that's no longer the play, how's it called? The silver play button. But that's no longer the thing that I'm thriving to. Actually, I prefer more and I focus more, I would say because it was my goal, the play button. It was your
desire, yes.
To actually talk to the right person, the ideal client, and attract them into our business and into our world of Simple Germany, which is a magical world to help people with moving to Germany.
So we learned to look at business metrics that the YouTube Studio per se does not provide us because it's not built for that. So we implemented a very simple tracking system for ourselves and looked at the metrics that actually do matter. In particular, metrics such as the lead magnet click-through rate that we implement in videos, the lead magnet opt-in rates, those that actually end up downloading it and give us our email address, and also very important, new email subscribers versus existing email subscribers.
And once we put attention on these numbers, it actually revealed the videos that would perform best for our business and not just for YouTube. Spoiler alert, usually the videos that would perform crappy on YouTube, like in the YouTube Studio 1 out of 10, it would be like 10 or 9. Those were actually the ones that would perform best for our business. So it's super counterintuitive. And this kind of data also had a different effect, one that we didn't actually consider. And that is by us knowing what videos were performing for our business, we could consciously, intentionally create videos that would set up those well-performing videos as the next video to share with the viewer. And how did we do that?
Well, that leads us to lesson number 3, and that is to optimize the end screens. So instead of sending the viewer to any random video or a video that matches the topic like we used to do for years before, we now deliberately send the viewer to a very high converting video that of course still made sense topic-wise to watch next. And we want to show you an example of how this can look like. Here on the screen you see a video with a clear bump in the trajectory of the views. However, this bump was not created because it suddenly got discovered by the YouTube algorithm and got a push. No, this bump was intentionally engineered by us through end screen traffic. Meaning traffic from viewers who had already watched another video from ours that then continued watching and went to this video that we had guided them to. And as you can see on the right of the screenshot, the end screen traffic is still the #1 traffic source that keeps this video alive and growing continuously.
And since the video we were sending traffic to had a high converting lead magnet, because we tracked it, right? We know this. That meant that from this video alone, we doubled the leads that we got, as you see in this screenshot here on the screen. So by optimizing the end screens, we don't only create bingers for our content, but we also generate more leads for our business.
And to get new leads in general for our business, we quickly learned lesson number 4, and that is to customize ugly lead magnets. Now, in all fairness, this might vary from niche to niche, but for us with our business, Simple Germany, what worked best were simple, highly useful Google Sheets or Google Docs. We never had any super fancy, overly designed PDFs.
Now that you said Google Docs, I saw a duck on the screen for some reason. Google Docs, documents. And the key to make successful ugly lead magnets is not that they're ugly and they're not valuable, but they are actually tools or things that is either a continuation to the video or is complementary to the video. And to give you a clear example, this screenshot that you see on the screen now, this is actually the breakdown per city of rental apartments, the cost of renting an apartment in Germany. Per city, that's better said. And in the video, we just gave averages and medians, but if someone wanted to dive deeper into the numbers, this is the spreadsheet that would tell them that information. So again, this is highly complementary to the video that we had done.
And massive additional value.
So instead of having just 2 or 3 general lead magnets that we slap everywhere on our videos, we actually created these custom ugly lead magnets. And yes, it's a little bit more work for us, but it's totally worth it to get more leads.
And speaking of leads, if you'd like to get the full breakdown of all of our 13 lessons that we've documented our YouTube for Business playbook, then you can of course download it in the description below. And we want to conclude this video with one of the most powerful lessons, because it not only allowed us to get more leads for our business, but it actually allowed us to pre-sell our ideal client on our offer. And that is to engineer a slingshot video.
A slingshot what?
A slingshot video is a specific kind of video in which we slingshot warmed up viewers from the noisy outer sphere of YouTube into our quiet inner sphere of our email list, by showing our actual process, like the full transformation our offer promises, at a very high level.
So to give you a concrete example from our first online business, Simple Germany, let's talk about that a little bit. Our core offer was a personalized moving plan. We had a live cohort where we help people prepare and plan their move to Germany. So our slingshot video was going through all this process, but it wasn't personalized, of course, because it's a YouTube video. And as a lead magnet, we had a workbook that actually talked about all the steps needed, as well as linked to multiple other resources that we just couldn't dive into detail in the video, because otherwise it would have been like a 24-hour long video, I think. And at the end of our Slingshot video, we had a clear call to action for our live cohort program, because the chances of someone watching the whole video and arriving to the end, that means they really are interested in the topic and they're probably warmed up to the idea of, oh my God, there's a lot of information, I need guidance, and cool that now I know that you have an offer that you can help me and guide me through this process.
But we didn't come up with the idea and strategy for this kind of video overnight. It actually took us 3 attempts to make our Slingshot video the highest converting video on our channel. So after we nailed it, we of course documented it and show you our exact 5-step process for you to follow in this next video.
See you there!